Hello everybody and welcome back to another exciting video here on my channel, and of course another Bookmas video. In today's video I am actually going over my 2026 reading journal and also doing a flip through of 2025, just 2025. Last year I did a flip through of all of my reading journals and that was 2025, 2024 and a little bit of 2023. This year I'm just going to go between the 2 years because it's going to start getting very lengthy and I feel like it's not as important to flip through all of it unless you guys of course want that. But if you've been to my channel and you've seen my reading journal, it's not the typical reading journal. It's not like a cute simple one that is very aesthetic that also I draw in. I'm not gonna lie, I use a binder and also I print out my stuff. This is this year's, you'll see more of it, but I print it out so it's more of like at the same time of monthly, it's more so in the year. I have it all printed out so I don't ever have to come back in here and update. I just kind of add to it with a pen. For me, this is what works the best, and it's more so because if I were to do the individual, especially monthly ones where I had to draw them all out, and also on top of that I'm such a perfectionist that the one time that I mess up I'm just gonna rip the whole page out. So for this, if I messed up, if it's one of those that I want to add stuff into it, I don't have to worry. I can just move the little plastic sheets, the plastic coverings, and just take them out and rearrange them. So this is a much better thing for me, and also it's more low maintenance and just I feel like over time a lot better. And I just use Canva. I don't pay for anything, so I just use Canva to kind of rearrange each individual sheet the way I want it, and then I print them out and then I just stick them in a binder. There's nothing special about this. You can do it at home, and if you're not very creative, then like I said, since I use Canva, I can use little photos. I can just take photos myself and insert them. Like last year, you'll see I went really creative, but this year I didn't do as much extra stuff all around the border. So it's really fun because each year you can change it up, but you're not actually having to sit there for hours on end and draw everything or potentially mess things up. If you are right towards the end of finishing that specific page and then accidentally messing it up, you don't have to worry because you don't have to restart. You can change it out. Enough talking for this intro. Let me go ahead and fully get into my reading journal for 2026. I hope you guys can all see this. I'm trying something different this year. I'm gonna try and kind of mimic a bird's eye view for my tripod. I have it ratchet strapped to my kitchen table, so hopefully this looks better than all the years before. But let's go over my 2025 reading journal. I want to show you kind of what I did last year and then show some things that I have changed or fixed in my opinion. So first off, we have, like every single year before, we do have my book journal information. So this is just what my star ratings are, minus the fact that when I say 1 star is what is this / DNF, I never, when I DNF, rate a book. That's just my personal thing. I know it's like technically I should probably just take out the DNF. I have not really gotten to that, but I think this year I will do that. And then over here is my book goals for this year. So number of books I want to read this year, my physical TBR at the start of the year, my physical TBR goal at the end of the year, no buy months, any new authors I want to read, and then any other goals. And then of course we have my favorite books of each month. On these next couple pages, this is my physical TBR / books that I want to read. Some of them, when I get rid of them, like this was a DNF, so I did cross all of these out. A few other ones I decided to take off, like this Fundamentals of Photography. It's not a DNF. This, and then the Agatha Christie, The Mouse in Another Place. It's one of those that I'm not really going to put on my physical TBR, even though I once had it originally put on there. But of course, all of these are the ones that I have tackled when they're just crossed off like that. Again, we have a lot more, and most of these, this entire page is all the ones that I bought in 2025. I bought a lot of books, but I did go birthday shopping and bought, I think, like 9 or 10 books, give or take. And then of course we have the 25 books I want to read in 2025. I am 3 books shy from finishing this. I only have On the Edge with Richard Hammond. I need to finish Red Rising, and then just Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, and then I will finish this whole list. And I only DNF The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Otherwise, all of these I have accomplished, and I'm so happy, so proud. And I have just 1 month left because we are at the end of November. This is something that I actually added in, I think maybe halfway into the year of 2025. I put a series I'm in the middle of. I'm a person that originally, if I start a series, I'm going to continue the series. I'm just going to hop into the next one until I finish that series. However, this year, I think I did this once a couple years ago when I was reading the Harry Potter. I kind of spaced that out, but otherwise, this is the first year that I started with a series and then I wouldn't necessarily jump into the second book in the series or the next book in the series. So now I have a lot of series, and I did put every single series that was on my shelf at the time. I did have this all in a list, but more so I have the ones that I have started up front, and then there's a couple that I picked up, and when I redid this list or actually got this list, it's when I added those to it. And then I do have some blank ones if I were to thrift some more or get some more books, and it's a start to a series. And then of course we have my 2025 reading bingo challenge. This one in particular I did every single time. I was trying to fill up this entire thing, and I am not doing that in the future. You will see that we'll talk a little bit more when I get into it for 2026, but you can see where I tried kind of decorating like every page except for this collection. Every other page had little things all around them. Like I have butterflies on this one. This one is like space, just random stuff. And then we get into my reading log, and I have the dates that I started and finished, the title, the author, the genre, the number of pages, and then my rating. And then I do have my genre tracker. This one I feel like I changed up. Also, don't mind how this one does not say romance. I kind of fat fingered it when I was typing, but forgive me for that. Otherwise, I changed this just a little bit because I had a few other ideas and I felt like I had too many genres. When I read Christian books, the main genre that I had was actually mystery. I've read a lot of Christian books, but they were multiple genre ones, so I kind of summarized more so my genre tracker for 2026, which you will see when we get into that. And then I have my book goal tracker. So for this year, we had a book goal of 30, which I did accomplish, but I am not hitting that 65. We have basically a month left. I'm not gonna read that many books to get all the way up there. I'll probably read 5 to 6 at the most. I think 10 books or 8 books was the most I ever read in one given month. So I'm not hitting that goal, which is fine. And then over here, we do have my 2025 reading stats. Every month, at the end of the month, I tally up how many books I read, how many pages I read, and then how many 5 stars I potentially had. And then the final page for 2025 is my yearly wrap up. This is where I go into what year it was, the original book goal for the year, the number of books that I read this year, how many books that I did not finish, which were DNFs, my number of 5-star reads, number of pages read this year, my most rated book on Goodreads, including the rating, and then my least rated book, the longest book on my physical TBR that I read, the shortest book that I read, the most read genres, favorite series, and any books that did surprise me. And now let's get into my 2026 reading journal. So again, I kind of kept with the exact same layout for at least this specific page. I did change all of the fonts, and I'm going to be changing a little bit of my star rating, just kind of specify it a little bit better. I also took off all of this little decorative stuff, and I just feel like this is a lot more cleaner, especially since I haven't written on it just yet. But for the book goals, I do have number of books to read this year. That is the same, the physical TBR at the start of the year, the TBR goal for the end of the year, and any new authors I want to read, any other goals. Those are all the same. I just took out my no buy months because I wasn't necessarily not following them, but I wasn't following them at the same time. If I thrifted one book, I would potentially pick it up in that month, and I just felt like I never really cared about it as much, so I did take that away. And then of course we have the favorite books of each month. This page is also the same, just changed the font. Every single page I did change the font, so you will see that. I like this a little bit more. Every year I feel like I switch it up just a little bit with that. However, this is the exact same as well. It's my physical TBR books to read. Going into this page, we do have my 26 books I want to read in 2026. I am so excited to fill this out. And then also I just printed this off. I redid the series I'm in the middle of, but I did it more so it's a little bit cleaner. Instead of having it similar to this where it's like 4 books, 3 books, 3 books, 2 books, 5 books, more so like that where I just randomly put each series on there. I tried to keep it relatively the same. So this is like 6 books in a row, 5 books, 5 books, and then we get all the way down to here. There is a few spots where I kind of put some shorter ones to fill up. Like I think right here, this was 4. And then on this page, we did kind of finish it out. So these are all the series as of right now that are on my shelves. And I had a lot more that I can put on for next year to add to this list. And I just think this looks so much better. It's more clean, more uniform. And then a new thing that I'm actually adding is an alphabet challenge. However, I'm not going to be trying to do every single letter and fill it out. I just want, if I finished a specific book, like let's say Onyx Storm, it's going to go with the O. I'm not going to specifically search out at the end of the year, oh, I haven't read a Z or a Q. Let me go find books that only start with that. It's just, I want to know during the year what books I read, like how much of the alphabet I actually read during a year. And I feel like next year it's going to be a good way to test that. So I wanted to do it, and I did match it to my reading bingo, which I kind of kept the exact same. The only difference is I did put on here, instead of just 1 space per book, I also put a 1 bingo in total. So if I get 1 bingo, that's it, we're done. We're not adding to it to where it's eventually going to look like this. This is too messy. This was pointless. I wish I never did this. We're just going to keep it like this. 1 bingo only. I did learn from my mistakes, but that's okay. We kind of grow each year and we just change things or switch things up that we may not like. And then in here, I also added this 2026 reading challenge. So this again is kind of like the alphabet one. If I finished a book, I can look on here, and if it's one that I bought at Half Price Books, I can just write it down. If it's one of the first ones that has numbers for chapter titles, I can write the name of it down and just also put a check mark. It's just a random reading challenge, but it's something that I figured would be kind of interesting throughout the year. And then of course we have my book goal tracker. I kind of kept this the same. I did switch it from 30 to 35, and then I did keep the second book goal at 65. I have no clue if I'm going to even hit that next year or not. Mainly, I want to always accomplish my first goal, but if I don't get to my second goal, it's okay. If I do get to it, it's super great. It's not something that I'm going to force myself to do. In this reading log, I did switch it up a little bit. I did mess up and I did not feel like moving all of these stars over. Originally, I wanted my rating all the way over here. And then because I put it here on accident, I just switched the name, the author, and the rating over instead of trying to get all of these stars, because at first I did them every single one, and then once I had a whole row, I would group them all together, and then every single line I would add them to. So I didn't want to try and transfer all of this over to here. I think it would have been sort of simple, but I just was kind of feeling lazy at the moment because it took me a while to change this up. So instead, I wanted to add this where it was already numbered. So if I'm reading my 10th book of the year, I already know, hey, it's my 10th book of the year. And also I wanted my dates instead of vertical like this, where I feel like over time you can't really see, you can't tell what it is. I wanted it to be more like this where I wrote it out horizontal. It just looks a little bit cleaner. Of course, the title, and then we have the rating. I guess this is maybe okay, this layout with the rating over here. It's more of like my what's more important when I'm looking at my reading log, and I did want it more of a 2-page spread. So then over here we do have the genre, the number of pages. If I got it from physical or the library, which most of them will be from my physical TBR, I am going to be trying to go to the library because I just got a library card. So I'm going to be trying to do that, and maybe potentially if it was a physical book but I also listened to it on audio, I might put a dash and then also say audio, but for the most part I'll just choose between physical or library. And then of course we have where the author goes. Few pages of that, and then we have something that I switched up. This is where I said the genre tracker I kind of condensed. So over here we just have biography and autobiography, fantasy, YA fantasy, fiction, mystery, sci-fi, romance, thriller, and other. The only reason that I put a YA fantasy with the fantasy is because I needed one extra one to make this all even, and honestly between the two I read a lot of fantasy and I read a lot of YA fantasy, so it kind of made a lot of sense. And then something new that I wanted to add was actually keeping track of all the books that I bought in each specific year. So this is a new books I bought in 2026, and if I do fill this up, I will probably just copy all of these and make a whole table for a whole page, and we will add to those. Hopefully I don't fill all this up, but judging by how I filled that up, we might end up filling this up. Next year I'm going to try not to buy so many books, and I know I say that I feel like every single year, but maybe we'll stick with it this year. Just like before, I had my reading stats. I did not change this up. It's still books I read, pages I read, and 5 potential stars of that month. And then again, I kept this the exact same, the yearly wrap up. I didn't change really too much of these last couple pages. The main thing that I did change up was of course this page, my reading log, adding in this reading challenge, and also this alphabet challenge, and then making the series I'm in the middle of page much neater. And there you have it. There is my 2025 reading journal flip through, and also a first look at my 2026 reading journal. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. I hope from this video that you also could potentially get some ideas, some spreads that maybe you wanted to incorporate and make your own into your own reading journal. Or if you were just curious and wanted to start your own, definitely I would recommend trying this printing off version. And then if you really want to get more into it, or if you're very creative, then hopping into, like everybody else, every other reading journal you do see here on YouTube. I appreciate you guys coming and checking out this video, and I hope to see you in another video here on my channel. Merry Christmas, and of course, God bless.